I want to show you some example of road crossings for wildlife. Roads and highways are significant problems for animals of all sizes. First of all, they fragment their habitat patches. They are major barriers, so they make it hard to find food, to find mates, to move into new territories. And then, as I'm sure you are aware, roads kill thousands and thousands of animals every year. So many highway departments in the U.S. and in Europe and elsewhere have wildlife crossing programs. The one in the upper right is from Banff, in the Banff National Park in Alberta. This is one of the earliest wildlife crossings in North America. I think Europe has been doing it for longer, and it's certainly one of the most famous. So this is a bridge for bears and cougars and whoever else needs to cross this big old highway. Here's some elsewhere, one in the Flathead Reservation in Montana, where people there are very pay a lot of attention to wildlife issues. Here are a few slides with photos from Europe where you will notice these overpasses are really well developed. And one thing you notice in some of these places, like down here, is that there is fencing to direct the wildlife to the crossing and away from the highway. Here's some more in Europe. Aren't they beautiful? Here are some more. And in England. And a really big one in Spain. Look at this. From the air, it's even hard to see the road. Here is the road, and here is this big old patch of forest crossing the road. So that's a space for wildlife. Here's a couple in Australia. Underpasses are probably the most common kind of wildlife crossing, and these are ones that U.S. highway departments in particular are focused on, and you find them all over the country. And then wildlife cameras capture pictures of them from time to time. So here are some from various states. Florida has a major underpass program. Here are some more from Canada, Africa, and some other places. Oh, here down in the lower left corner, you can see an example of this fencing we were talking about. So a wildlife overpass or underpass may not solve the entire problem if the animal doesn't know it's there, and if they wander onto the road and get killed anyway. So many parks and highway departments will put fencing so that the animal can't cross the road. They can only go to where there's an opening in the fence, and that turns out to be the overpass or the underpass. You can often use what's called box culverts as underpasses. And a box culvert, you know, a culvert is just a place for water to run under the highway. So if you've got a stream flowing, you put a steel pipe and the stream flows through that. A box culvert is just a big culvert. And in many states, box culverts are used as wildlife underpasses. And here you see some examples of the wonderful pictures of animals using these underpasses that trail cams have captured. And let's not forget about the small creatures, including amphibians, such as salamanders. Salamanders have an annual migration cycle, and in fact, we have an issue with rough-skinned newts at Lane Community College in Eugene. So rough-skinned newts are a kind of amphibian related to salamanders, and during part of the year they live in a dry upland area in the woods. During part of the year they migrate down to the wetland area and breed. And at a certain time of year at Lane Community College, hundreds of these fellows cross that road, that entrance road into campus, where many of them get squished. So some communities are developing amphibian underpasses, and at Lane we have tried to reach out to the county who maintains that road, and there's a big pause there. That hasn't gotten too far yet. There's a community in Vermont that has done a really great amphibian underpass, and then you can see some others here. So they're small. They're just places where we know that newts and salamanders migrate, and we put a little underpass under the road so that they can migrate safely. Then here's one in the lower right. Here's one in California that's for reptiles. Sharing the planet with other folks who live here.